Hi, this is Nicole and we're back again for part 2 of Riley's urine sample. So 7 minutes has passed on our centrifuge, so it has stopped. So now I can show you guys what it looks like on the second half of the process. So I'll go in and take out the sample. So this is our blank placeholder, so that's just the water. Here's our sample here. So this is a great example. So if you can see this pellet right here, so the centrifuge has pulled all of the cells and potentially crystals and other things in this urine sample to the bottom right there. So what I'm going to do is pour off all of this urine because I don't need that, and I'm going to look at that under the microscope. So for that, I'm just going to go over here quickly and just pour off whatever comes off the top, and that leaves me with just this plug. So I have the plug right here. And in order to get that, and then plus a little bit of urine, which will help me get that out of this tube and onto a slide. So I'm just going to tap it a couple of times on the side so that I can get it off the side of the tube. And I'm going to take my slide, and from here I'm just going to pour it until it taps on like that. And then from here I'm going to take a cover slip, and so that it spreads out nice and evenly on the slide, I'm going to take this cover slip and I'm just going to put it over the top. So if you could see, it just made everything nice and even, so hopefully I get a thin layer to look at under the microscope. So I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to show you guys what it would look like on the microscope. So this is basically what I'm looking for here. So we have a really nice reference chart for us to look at if we have questions. So things like crystals like this is what I would be seeing on the microscope, as well as things like epithelial cells, which will look this way. This is an unstained sample that I'm looking at, so if you see these nice pretty colored pictures, it would be looking like this, just not in color. Everything is going to be a shade of white or gray or black, because it's not going to be stained at all, because I don't have them stained on my microscope. But I will still be able to positively identify things like white cells, red blood cells, crystals, and other epithelial cells that might be shedding off the urinary tract lining or off the bladder wall itself. So that also could indicate something that's going on with him. Either he's developing crystals, or he has a urinary tract infection, or other disease processes relating to the urinary tract. So from here, I'm going to look under the microscope. You guys might not be able to see what I'm seeing, but I can sort of point to some of the pictures and give you an idea. So usually what we do is we start by focusing the slide on low power. So that's going to be this first optic here. So I'm just going to move my slide into place. I don't know if you can get close, but if you can see the almost looks like dust on the slide itself. So if we go over here, see how there's no dust to see. So this is telling us that there's definitely going to be what I would call an active sediment. So there will certainly be things for me to look at under the microscope of this urine sample. So I'm going to zoom in here now and focus on this optic and take a look at what I can see. So once I have it kind of in focus on this power, magnification, I'm going to switch it from this low power to this blue one, which is considered high power. And then from there I can really, it will give me pictures looking very similar to the sizes that you saw in that poster. So that we can see what's going on. So there definitely is some crystals and crystalline debris. And it also looks like this is an intact dog, because I also see sperm in this sample, which is something that we don't commonly see because typically most of our patients are already neutered or spayed. So that's fun to look at under this specific sample. So there definitely is the presence of crystals and crystalline debris. So certainly why we're seeing all that sand or grit looking stuff on the slide itself. So from here, what I have to do is look for the presence of red cells, white blood cells, crystals, epithelial cells, and anything else that could be present. And usually we quantify it. So what we would call a quiet sample wouldn't have any of those things. And then from there we give numbers to kind of give us an idea of how much stuff is in a sample. So right now what I'm doing is I'm just going around on various fields on the microscope slide to get a good idea. So you never want to look at just one field. You want to look at, 10 to 20 fields just to kind of get an average so you can get a good idea of what's going on the sample on the whole. And then from there, I'm going to write my results down on this paper and I'll report them to the doctor. So I'll express things like if I'm looking at white blood cells, I'll say I see 5 to 7 per field. So I'm counting, so some fields will have 5, some fields will have 10, and from there. So same thing with my red cells, same thing with my casts and crystals. And from there, I'll give these results to the doctor and they'll be able to use that as a diagnostic tool to help this pet get back on the road to wellness.